A few weeks ago, Claire and I continued our series of League of Legends champion redesigns with a video about Shaco, the Demon Jester. This was basically a group brainstorming session. We came up with 3 general concepts for a complete reimagining of the character, ran through the lore and initial sketches for each idea, and then asked you guys for feedback about which concepts you liked the most. And you guys delivered. Over 1,500 comments worth of critiques and new ideas to help us create the best Shaco redesign we possibly could. Today, we're going to continue our creative process and go over your ideas and feedback, isolate the ones that we liked the most, and apply them to our rough sketches to come up with a final design. We're back, everyone. Welcome to Subjectively. Today, we finally closed the book on our Shaco redesign project. I know some of you have been waiting for this for a while, and I don't want to waste any more time. Some of you, though, might be a little lost. Who or what is Shaco? Why are we redesigning him? What happened in the first part of this video series? Well, believe it or not, those questions might be best answered in the aforementioned Shaco redesign part 1 video. Don't worry, we'll link it in the description. But if you don't feel like clicking off this video right now, or if you're just looking for a refresher on the subject, I'll fill you in real quick. But before I do that, allow me to fill you in on the sponsor of today's video, NordVPN. Like a stealthed Shaco player hiding in your jungle, prying eyes are always watching you on the internet. Just when you think you're safe, alone, and comfortable, bam! They appear over the wall and steal your red buff. Okay, that analogy isn't exactly airtight, but the visual is in your head now, right? Your computer is your safe space, the place where you should be able to farm in peace without the threat of some jerk looking over your shoulder, ready to exploit you at every opportunity they get. That's where NordVPN comes in. Think of them like a control ward for your jungle. Better yet, they're a whole support champion, coming in to protect you and your personal information. Don't wander off into the fog of deceptive links. Use NordVPN to reveal all those nasty scammers with their built-in threat protection feature. It will recognize and warn you when you're about to click on something that might harm your computer. Don't face-check random files you found on the internet. Let NordVPN scan anything and everything you download to make sure they're safe and free of malware. It's more than just a bodyguard protecting you against the evils of the internet. NordVPN comes with a cavalry of other helpful features that everyone who spends time online should have. A password manager, encrypted cloud storage, region unlocking, and so much more. Still not convinced? Don't take my word for it. Try out the most popular VPN on the market for yourself with our exclusive link, nordvpn.com/subjectively. You can give it a shot risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Privacy on the internet isn't just important, it's essential. Don't let yourself get caught unaware. Protect yourself with NordVPN. Right now, NordVPN users can get a huge discount with the purchase of a 2-year plan plus 4 extra months. Once again, you can use our exclusive link, nordvpn.com/subjectively, to try NordVPN risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. You've got nothing to lose. Thank you so much to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. And now, where was I? Oh, right. Shaco. Shaco is a playable character from the hit multiplayer online battle arena game League of Legends. Even if you've never played it, I'm sure that you've heard of it. In this world of demons, mages, monsters, and regular dudes with big shoulder armor, Shaco tends to stick out like a sore thumb. Despite the fact that many champions in this game have received VGUs, or visual and gameplay updates, Shaco's visuals have remained unchanged for over a decade. Objectively, there's nothing wrong with this, but a lot of people would agree that old champions like Shaco deserve the same kind of treatment that characters like Warwick or Swain received, bringing them out of the dark ages of rushed character development and into the modern age of well-conceived and innovative design. That's what we did in the first half of this video series. Because Shaco has so little lore in his current official League of Legends canon, we came up with 3 new stories that would play into his existing visuals. First of the 3 was our concept for a Demacian Shaco. In this story, a royal family in an ancient Demacia commissioned a living statue to be made in order to protect their young son and prince of the kingdom. This golem, fashioned by an apprentice of the great sculptor Durand, had a few quirks. Instead of protecting the prince, Shaco seemingly malfunctioned, driven by some unidentified evil force that caused him to slaughter the royal family and abscond with the young boy into the woods, never to be seen or heard from again. The second concept was for a Shaco from the Shadow Isles, more specifically the Lost Kingdom of Camivore. Here, Shaco was a wooden puppet, gifted to Prince Viego when he was a young boy from a mysterious ambassador. The puppet quickly became forgotten, and as years went on, its magical wooden frame was imbued by the treacherous fervor of Viego's court. Eventually, Shaco gained a form of consciousness, animated by the undead spirits of everyone Viego had doomed. The now living puppet set out to seek revenge on a man it had never met, determined to kill Viego and anyone who stood in its way. In the last story, Shaco was created in the dark, imposing towers of Noxus. Designed by a disgraced Noxian tactician, Shaco was brought to life through a demonic ritual in order to assassinate a young Prince Jarvan IV. The ritual backfired, however, and the tactician and her cultists lost control over their deadly puppet. Already in Demacia, the demon-possessed killing machine abandoned its initial directive and instead set off to slay the foolish mortals who dare believed they could control it. We pitched our audience these 3 ideas, as well as some visuals to accompany them, and we asked you guys to tell us which designs you liked the best. This proved a harder question to answer than we had initially anticipated. I really thought that the Shadow Isles idea would be the most popular. It was based off of a theory that I had heard before, that the vague prince mentioned in Shaco's current lore was a young Viego. It also seemed to be the most in line with Shaco's current visuals and gameplay mechanics. Surprisingly, however, it seemed like most of you favored our first pitch, the Demacian Golem. I was shocked, not because I thought this was a bad idea, but just because it was so different from the Shaco that we have now. Usually when we do these League of Legends redesigns, the more we change a champion, the less people tend to like it. But I guess it shouldn't be too big of a surprise, right? I mean, who really loves Shaco the way he exists now? Well, who other than this guy?
Yeah, she won't expect a thing. She'll come for a blue buff, and she'll die for a blue buff.
Anyway, I was excited to hear the responses to this new lore because I love VGUs that completely reimagine the champion. This isn't to say that everyone who liked this idea thought it was flawless. We got some great feedback to hone this rough concept into a much stronger story. Concepts from the initial design that people liked, and we agreed we wanted to keep, included the concept of Shaco playing host to a lesser demon. Archdemons like Evelyn and Fiddlesticks might be too powerful to play into a story about a possessed statue like this one. However, a lesser demon that fills a similar role and has similar powers to one of the omnipotent entities could work as well. Specifically, and per the suggestion of one of our commenters, a lesser demon of Ashleth, the demon of joy. Ashleth sort of exists and doesn't exist in the game right now in the form of the champion Neela, whose lore is ambiguous in regards to the exact connection she has to the demon itself. She might have captured it and absorbed its power, she might have found some way to slay it, or it's possible that the demon is simply using her mortal form as a host. Either way, the chaotic nature of Ashleth, or rather a minor demon competing with Ashleth for its power, would fit nicely with Shaco's existing Joker complex.
Why so serious?
We also like the idea of Shaco originating from an old Demacian legend. Demacia is a kingdom built on fear, specifically a fear of magic. For Shaco to have been the result of Demacian royalty and their paranoia, only to become that from which they had hoped to protect themselves, it's delicious poetic irony that makes the character feel all the more terrifying. Our goal here is to make Shaco actually scary. Furthermore, the dichotomy of Shaco's intended purpose, to protect a child, and its eventual decline into demonic killing sprees evokes a deep subconscious sense of discomfort. Similarly to how the Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics play off of those uncanny visuals that were intended to be comfortable for children but are somehow still terrifying even to adults, having Shaco look as though it was designed to be kid-friendly would make it that much more unsettling. Now, as far as visuals go, there were a few things from each sketch that people liked and we decided to keep. The 3 faces concept from one of my Shadow Isles sketches was specifically mentioned by several commenters. This was something that I really liked too. A character that can't physically emote, but somehow has 3 basic human emotions built into its head is terrifying in all of the right ways. We as humans look for familiar visual clues in order to gauge another individual's intentions. If Shaco's face was carved into a perpetual smile, it's already pretty creepy. but if its head slowly rotated until the frowny face locked into place, well, now you know it's time to run. People also liked the subverted Galio imagery from the Demacian concept. That pristine, elegant stonework Demacia is known for would look especially uncanny if it was broken and corrupted, putting a visual to everything a paranoid Demacian king fears. A lot of people suggested that we wreck it a little bit more than in my initial sketch, make it look really f***ed up, like a demon was trying to escape from within, somehow corrupting the petricite that's supposed to absorb and nullify dangerous magic. I'm going to put a little author's note here. I love the concept of petricite as a story prop, an ancient organic material from the world of Runeterra with magical origins used by fearful humans to try to protect themselves from the inherent nature of this world that they live in. I even used petricite in my most recent Shyvana redesign as something like a prison for her latent magical abilities. However, I do think that I might be improvising a little bit in regards to my use of the material. I'm not entirely sure about all of the rules and limitations of petricite, so some of you Necrit nerds might have to take me to school here about this thing and its properties. It might be impossible, lore-wise, for a lesser demon to even be implanted within a golem carved from petricite. However, for the sake of this video, I'm elaborating a little bit on Galio's lore, alluding to petricite's reactions to magical forces and how they affect the material. If magic is what brought Galio to life as a protector of Demacia, then perhaps a lesser demon would be enough to bring a statue to life that eventually becomes evil. All right, focus up, Jack. We're almost done with this. Now, what are we working with so far? We've got our lesser demon, specifically a lesser demon of Ashleth. We can use the only existing visuals that we have for Ashleth, that is multiple hands and arms, and blend them with our other visual, a petricite golem built to defend and protect a prince. Multiple arms make sense for that purpose, but maybe no more than 4. However, we already have a unique silhouette that stands out from other League champions or even similar concepts from other stories. We can also add more of these visuals when we consider that this Demacian sculpture has to look like it's been rotting in the woods with a demon inside of it for centuries. 2 glowing red hands rested on Shaco's shoulders create something like a cape, but also implies that there is a much more powerful entity pulling the strings. Whatever minor demon exists within Shaco, it is now entirely in control, literally pulling the stone wreck from one place to another. We have our 3 faces, maybe initially designed to help communicate with the young prince. You know, like a happy face means all is well. When Shaco rotates its head to look sad, it means the prince should reflect on his actions. And when it rotates to the angry face, well, we don't want to be there when Shaco puts the angry face on. I haven't gone so far as to hire a voice actor to help me out with this redesign, but I imagine that this version of Shaco would speak in a chorus of 3 voices, one for each emotion on its head, with each individual voice becoming more prominent in turn depending on what it's saying. Now, as much as I love this final render, we do have a small issue. I don't think it looks beat up enough, not broken enough to convince a viewer that it's been rotting in the woods for centuries. I think this problem might be too big to change without going back to square one, or at least square 2, but I have an idea that might help this particular design a little bit. Shaco, as he exists now, has an alternating black and red patterning on his outfit. What if the same jester motif was crudely mimicked on our Shaco with some sort of magical oxidation on certain parts of his body? Maybe this is what petricite looks like when a demonic presence corrodes it from the inside out. I don't know though, this might be too hasty of a change to add in at this point. I'd like to hear what you guys think though. Option A, Option B, or Option C, which would be to go back and change the design more so that the whole thing looks more broken and decrepit. If enough of you say C, we'll take the time over the next few weeks to make these changes, but we probably won't make a whole other video about it. A final detail that I only considered at the very end of this was Shaco's boxes. In his current canonical state, Shaco can summon little jack-in-the-boxes to fear enemies. This version of Shaco doesn't need toys to do his bidding. Instead, parts of the swirling red tentacles that sprout from within his body break off to form these little imps. Perhaps the fact that I gave them legs implies a gameplay change, but, I'm not really going to elaborate on that. I don't want to change Shaco's kit, just his visuals. Overall, I think this final design looks pretty great. I think we nailed all the points we addressed in our first video and all of the points that you guys brought up in the comments. It still feels like there's something missing though, doesn't it? Oh, of course, the splash art. Claire's a wizard with this stuff, so I only did as much as a rough grayscale thumbnail for her to work off of. While she works on this, how would you guys like to hear the revised story to go with our final Shaco design? It's similar to the one from the first videos, but with a few tweaks to work in the Ashleth angle a little bit more. Sit back and enjoy our reimagined lore for Shaco, the Demon Jester. After the devastation that ravaged Valoran during the Rune Wars, the newly founded kingdom of Demacia sheltered its people from the warmongering mages behind walls of petricite. Durand, the great craftsman, carved towering statues that would serve as the unyielding sentinels of Demacia's army. Though it was unexpected, exposure to the very magic Demacians sought to protect themselves from brought these great works of stone to life. Not all of these golems were so grandiose that they could be spotted for miles. Some were much smaller, around the size of a child. As Demacian power grew throughout the land, there also grew an ever-present sense of paranoia within the kingdom's royal family. Desperate to ensure their young son's safety, the king and queen commissioned an apprentice of the late Durand to construct a petricite automaton that could guard the prince at all times. Crafting the stone statue was easy, but the apprentice was unable to recreate the same circumstances that brought Durand's other works to life. With the royal family breathing down her neck, the young craftswoman resorted to unconventional methods. She brought the petricite sculpture outside the city walls of Demacia to a small cabin somewhere in the surrounding woods. Light shone from the windows, and loud cracks and bangs could be heard echoing in the nights. She didn't know it at the time, but the apprentice had stumbled upon a cultist of a lesser demon, a petty pretender to the throne of Ashleth. In possession of a fragment of the demon's power, the cultist was more than happy to imbue this willing host with their master's chaotic will. Slowly, the petricite statue came to life, powerful and uncontrollable. In this moment, Shaco was born. Had anyone in the kingdom known what the apprentice had done that day, she would have been forced into exile for the rest of her life. Nevertheless, her mission remained a secret, and the results were beyond her wildest expectations. She returned to the king and queen with a petricite golem brimming with gleeful energy. The royal family was beside themselves with joy and gratitude, and the young prince rejoiced at what seemed to be a new toy and a new friend, all in one glittering package. But not all that glitters is gold. After a few months, the golem began to behave strangely. Most of the time, it followed the prince everywhere he went, keeping him out of harm's way and entertaining him with jokes and dances. From time to time, however, the prince's guardian took things a little too far. Most children don't know their limits. It's hard for a young boy, particularly an entitled prince, to understand when what he considers to be fun is actually quite scary to other kids. "Please, let go of my arm," the other kids would say.
Spoil sport!
Shaco would shriek as the prince twisted and cackled. "We have to go home. My mother will be worried," they whispered in desperation.
Cry, baby! Are you afraid?
Shaco mused mockingly as he guided the prince and his friends throughout the darkness. "My dog! Why would you do that to my dog?" the children cried.
Can't they take a joke?
Shaco giggled while the prince stared at the bloody knife in his hand. Violent outbursts like this became more and more frequent, and though the golem's maker insisted that it was only doing its job, the king and queen grew nervous. On that one grim evening when they found another child dead on the floor in their son's bedroom, they separated their son and Shaco and insisted that it be destroyed. Unable, or perhaps unwilling to unmake her fine work, Durand's apprentice took the golem back to her workshop to tinker with it. No one will ever know for sure what happened on the night before the golem's disappearance. Some say that the king and queen were tipped off to the apprentice's secret, the dark origins of Shaco, and had her apprehended and executed. Others claim it was the apprentice's own creation that brought about her demise, killing her in order to return to its charge. Whatever the case, Shaco escaped the workshop and broke into the castle, killing dozens of guards in the process. It stole the prince from his bed and fled the city limits, never to be heard from again. Generally, the people of modern-day Demacia consider this tale to be nothing more than a bedtime story to frighten little kids, a grim warning that magic cannot be trusted, even when put to noble use. Others claim that the golem still lives, lurking outside the walls of Demacia in the woods where it was first given life. Stories are told of the sound of children's laughter drifting from beyond the trees, and the sight of a menacing grin from out of the darkness. Perhaps it is all just a myth. Perhaps the mysterious disappearances of Demacian children are nothing more than unfortunate coincidences. Or maybe the legend of Shaco should be taken a little more seriously.
The fun will never end with Shaco, don't worry, girls and boys. He'll cut the kiddies down while they're still young and full of joy. Can't let those children get too old, the acorn becomes the tree. The tree goes old and rotten, a dreary sight to see. With time the old tree falls, a creak, a crack, a thud. Now once there was a young green sprout is but a stick in the mud. Don't listen to those old fools, Shaco knows what's best. We'll dance and sing and stab and shriek.
You won't be needing rest.
The fun will never end with Shaco, don't worry, girls and boys. Even when they start to wear,
He doesn't break his toys.
you'll stay with him forever, still young and full of joy. Savory bites of innocent souls. Shame
They've been destroyed.
Well, what do you guys think of our final Shaco redesign? Is it done? Is he finally scary for real this time? Or does it still need some more tweaking? And how do you think Claire's final splash art came out? I mean, no surprise. It's stunning. She gets better and better at these every time. Leave any and all of your thoughts down below in the comments and let us know which League of Legends champion you want us to redesign next. Thank you for watching, everyone, and thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Remember to use our exclusive link, nordvpn.com/subjectively, to try NordVPN risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave us a like and subscribe for more art. Thank you to all of our amazing Patreon supporters. You guys are the best. Peace out, and we'll see you in the next video.